This morning, the first report from Gail Furness, Senior Counsel Inspector of the National Anti-Corruption Commission, was tabled in the House. Ms Furness, first year as Inspector, ended with an announcement by the National Anti-Corruption Commission not to pursue referrals from the Royal Commission into the Robodebt scheme. Robodebt was not only found to be illegal, it caused huge trauma and people lost their lives. Hundreds of Australians complained to the inspector, and on the 13th of June 2024, thank God, Ms Furness announced that she was inquiring into the National Anti-Corruption Commission's decision, and so she should. When I heard that the National Anti-Corruption Commission wouldn't be investigating these 6 senior public servants, I was angry, like many other millions of Australians out there, but it didn't surprise me at all. I was the only one in this place last year to ask why on earth this government would, in the first place, put Paul Brereton in charge of the National Anti-Corruption Commission in the first place. This is the same bloke who decided that it was fine to let the top brass off the hook and throw the book at our diggers for alleged war crimes in Afghanistan. When the National Anti-Corruption Commission was established, a lot of people thought that senior ADF officers and senior defence public servants would be the most common referrals, but apparently not. This is why so many in the veteran community couldn't believe it when a senior ADF officer was appointed as the Commissioner. Not just any senior ADF officer, but the Major General, who gave all of the other Major Generals a blanket exemption from investigation in his inquiry report, that be the Brereton inquiry. Lo and behold, Major General Brereton, wearing his NACC Commissioner hat, decided not to pursue referrals from the Robodebt Royal Commission, and blow me over, one of these 6 people referred was another Major General. Who would have guessed? Eh? We're all mates. There was a very clear conflict of interest here. Brereton says that his, and I quote, judgment was mistaken when viewed through the lens of apprehended bias, end quote. Well, that's an understatement of the century as I've seen one. He's the boss of the anti-corruption body, but he refused to, and I quote again, mistaken judgment and apprehended bias, end quote. The NACC watchdog released her annual report today in that she considered that this mistaken judgment by Brereton could amount to officer misconduct. How about that? But in another refusal of a Major General to accept responsibility, Brereton dug in and refused to resign as he would. He went so far as to tell an audience of the government's institution that he blamed leaders for a poor public sector integrity culture in which responsibility is accepted. Does anybody else see the irony in that statement? Talk about narcissism. And here's the clincher. Brereton told the government institution that, and I quote, if every judge found to have made a mistake of law or fact resigned, there would be no one sitting on the bench in this country, end quote. To compare judges making errors of law or fact with his actions, where a clear conflict of interest existed, a conflict which he even identified, is absolute rubbish. According to a journalist and author, Rick Morton, when the NACC was scrambling to work out how they were going to tell Australians the NACC would take no further action against the 6 people referred to the NACC by Robodebt Royal Commissioner, Major General Paul Brereton told a Deputy Commissioner, and I quote, not to get too hung up on whether there is a corruption issue, end quote. How about that? The Labor government claims it is one of their big wins, but putting Paul Brereton in charge of it has hurt the reputation of an agency we desperately needed to have faith in. This is why Australians are losing faith in our political leaders. Catherine Robodebt Campbell was one of those 6 senior public servants, and she got a slap across the wrist. No loss of super, and she can work as a public servant again as long as she tells them she was involved in the Robodebt. Why don't you tell them how many lives you're responsible for taking as well? And as for Paul Brereton, he should resign effective immediately. And if he had the conscience or integrity left, he would do so. But no, this is typical of soldiers from the military. This is typical behaviour. When he was asked last week if he would resign, this is the arrogance of Brereton, he refused and even suggested that resigning would hurt the NACC. Hey, mate, the only person to hurt the NACC is yourself. Get out of there. Leave. It would be a statement that our yardstick surely would be popularity, not integrity. He should have a good look at himself in the mirror, because you are not popular, mate, and your lack of integrity is clear for all Australians to see. And it's not just Major General Paul Brereton, it's the Attorney General. I warned you not to put him in there. I can't even take complaints
because senior commanders in there are too scared because they'll know they'll be done over because of what you've done, AG.
Thank you, Senator.